Hello everyone, welcome to English class. This is Stephanie Ponteau. This is the Vision Church Level 2 class. There is my contact information. And this is the class for Monday, May 6th. And this is part 1. Now we have a lot to cover today for May 6th class, but we'll cover as much as we can in part 1 and we'll continue on in part 2. So this is part 1. And what we're covering in today's lessons for May 6th is going to be, this is our review unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to review vocabulary from units 7 and 8. We're going to review comparatives. We're going to review what and where questions and the simple past. And we're going to practice pronunciation of the ed ending of regular verbs in the simple past. Okay, so we'll cover what we can in part 1, and then we'll continue on in part 2 of today's lesson. So I hope everyone is doing well, that you are safe and coronavirus free. I hope that you are enjoying this extra time with your family and doing lots of good household projects. After I do these videos for you today, I am going to clean out my closet. So that will be my project for today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to erase this from the board. If I can find my eraser. Okay, oh, there it is. All right, this is our review unit. So we're going to start with reviewing the vocabulary that we learned in unit 7 and 8. All right, so we're just going to do a quick review of the vocabulary. Unit 7 vocabulary. I think that is on page 84. You can see most of those words. That was the, oh no, not 84. Yeah, 84. Okay, so you can look back at that if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write some of the vocabulary from Unit 7 up here on the board. So, Unit 7, that's where we were doing some furniture shopping in that unit. And vocabulary was customer. Oh, yeah, okay. So, if we were in the store, we would be the customer, right? That's the person who's wanting to buy something. Okay, and then we have the salesperson. That's the person who works at the store who is helping you. And then everything that you look at in the store should have a price tag on it, right? So that you will know how much that item costs. Let's see, what else? We learned furniture. And there's a lot of things that go under the title of furniture, right? So that would be like your couch or sofa, which is the same thing. And then the love seat is the small couch that holds 2 people. Remember that? And then on page 84, we had several different types of chairs. We had the kitchen chair. We had the wing back chair. Remember, I think that was the purple chair. And we had the recliner. So the wing back chair and the recliner. Everybody has a recliner, right? You sit back and lift up your feet and you sit there and watch TV or read a book. All right. What other furniture words did we learn? There were lamps. All right, so that's all different types of furniture. There's more, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, so what other word vocabulary? Let's see, we got the customer, salesperson, price tag, furniture. How about appliances? Yep, appliances are those machines that you use in your home to do work for you, right? So the appliances in our home that does work for us would be our washing machine and dryer, right? When my grandmother was young, she did not have a washing machine. She used a bucket, like a big tin tub with a washboard, And she had to do everything by hand and then hang it on the clothesline. But we have these machines to do work for us called appliances. So washing machine and the dryer. We've got the stove, refrigerator, microwave, all of those things, right? So I'm not going to write all of them up there, but you know what appliances are, okay? All right, so what were some other vocab words that we learned in Unit 7? How about receipts? And the receipt is that piece of paper that you get whenever you buy something. And remember, I told you guys, if you buy something that costs like, maybe more than $5, you want to hang on to your receipt for a little bit until you make sure that that item works well and that you like it. Because a lot of places, they won't take things back without a receipt. So the receipt tells you what you bought and how much you paid for it and how you paid and the name of the store. And then at the bottom of the receipt is usually where they have their policy for exchanges and refunds. So those are other vocabulary words. Exchange. Now, when you exchange something, you trade what you bought for something else. You don't get any money back. A refund is when you get your money back. So if you ever go to Walmart and there's something that you don't want anymore and you have your receipt and you tell the person at customer service, I would like a refund. That means you want your money back. That's why the receipt is super important. All right, so let's see. Refund, exchange. All right, I think that about does it. Oh, yes, one more thing. Markdown. When something is marked down, that means it's on sale, right? So markdown and on sale is the same thing. Markdown, on sale. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's it for vocabulary for Unit 7. Let's go over some vocabulary for Unit 8. Words that we learned. Okay, so these are good words to practice. Every time we have a unit and we learn new words, you should create opportunities for yourself to practice with those words. Practice with your children or your husband or your neighbor. If you have a neighbor who speaks English or knows English well, they would be someone good to practice with as well. All right, so some of the Unit 8 vocabulary. Co-workers, that was definitely in that unit, right? And what are co-workers? Do you remember? Yep, they are the people that you work with at work. So Unit 8 vocabulary is co-workers. Okay. And then we had linens. And what are linens? Linens are things like towels and sheets. It's those things made out of fabric that you use, okay? Towels, sheets, washcloths, curtains, tablecloths, all those kinds of things are linens, okay? All right, and Unit 8 is the unit where we were at the hospital, right? Tablet. Why did I put tablet? Tablecloths. Okay. All right, so those are all linens. And then a patient. That was another vocabulary word from Unit 8. And the patient is the person who is sick or getting care, right? At the hospital or the doctor's office. Okay, yep. What else? Walker. That's the device that a person uses when they're their legs might be weak, or they may be too tired or too old. In the walker, they kind of lean on it and it helps them walk. And then the wheelchair was vocabulary. We know what a wheelchair is. A chair with wheels that you roll around in. All right, what was some other vocabulary from Unit 8? The lab, and that's the place where you go and have blood tests and other types of tests at the hospital. You also go to the lab for x-rays, or you go to the radiology lab, but it's still considered a lab. So you go to the lab, but x-ray was another word we learned. Orderly. Remember our good friend Marco? He was an orderly. And let's see. Work schedule. And that was the whiteboard. In the picture on page 96, there was a whiteboard, kind of like this. And they had everybody's names and what they were supposed to do and when they were supposed to come to work. That was a work schedule. So it tells you when you work. Sometimes it tells you what your activities need to be as well. All right. Okay, so I think we got that. Oh, yes, one other word. It wasn't in the book, but gurney. That's also in the picture. And gurney it's something that they use at the hospital to move patients around. Patients who can sit up, they'll move you around in a wheelchair. Patients who are maybe too weak to get up and they have to take you somewhere, they put you on a gurney, which is almost like the hospital bed with that's made to transport or move around patients within the hospital. So a gurney. All right, so I think that's the vocabulary from Unit 8. So let's keep going here. I'm going to pause for just one moment. Okay, so the next thing in our review, we are supposed to go over comparatives. The comparative form of adjective. So I just put a few up here. Remember, you use the comparative form of an adjective when you are comparing two things, right? All right, so comparative form for big. And usually you just add ER to get the comparative of most, of course. In everything, there are exceptions, and we'll talk about some of those. So the comparative for big would be bigger. The comparative for old would be, yes, older. So these are ones we just add ER. The comparative for small would be smaller. So how about pretty? Now, when the adjective ends in Y, you change the Y to an I and add ER. So pretty would be prettier. Prettier. Like, I think blue is prettier than green. I'm comparing two colors. Blue is prettier than green. All right. Comfortable. Comfortable. That's 3 syllables. When it's a adjective with more than 2 syllables, you add more in front of the adjective. It does not become comfortabler. It becomes more comfortable. That's right. More comfortable. Then expensive. That's 3 syllables. Expensive. Does it become expensiver? Nope. It's more expensive. And then now we have some irregular adjectives where it's a totally different word to form the comparative form. So good, is it gooder? Nope. Yes, it's better. And then for far, the comparative would be farther. It's a totally new word. All right. So if I were to give you a sentence with that, I would say Publix is farther from my house than Kroger. Just like if close was it, I would say Kroger is closer to my house than Publix. Publix is farther from my house than Kroger. Kroger is closer. All right, so those are a few examples for us to practice the comparatives, but I'm sure you guys are good with the comparatives. All right, so let's move on. See the next thing we need to review. Okay, so now we are reviewing what and where questions with the simple past. Okay, now remember what you use to ask questions about activities, and you use where to ask questions about location. So we're just going to do a couple of questions, and I think you probably have this pretty good. So one question would be, what? I got to make sure my verb is the simple past. Did you do yesterday? Okay, stop my timer. Okay, what did you do yesterday? What past did, and the activity, we want to know, what did you do yesterday? Okay. So that's what and where to ask questions about location. Where did you go last night? Simple past. We want to know location. Where did you go last night? Let's see. I would answer this question here. What did you do yesterday? I made, which is the past tense, cookies. Okay, that's a simple past. Where did you go last night? I went, that's the past of go, to the store. All right, so that's what and where. What for activity, where for location. All right, I'm trying to make sure I stay on track with my time here. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to review before we go on with the next review item is when we were talking about the simple past. These are some verbs that we went over in Unit 8 that are irregular. So I just want to remind you of the past tense for these irregular verbs that we went over in Unit 8. So I'm going to ask you a question. Where did you go last night? The past for this irregular verb is went. I went to the store.